This is the skills practice for section 3.2. It's on angle measures. We're going to use this diagram and the protractor postulate to find the measures of these angles. So this diagram, we kind of adjusted it and put the scales going from left to right and right to left on each of these rays. That way all we need to do to calculate the angle measures is to subtract the two numbers. So how many degrees are there between this ray and this ray? Well, you would just subtract those numbers. Okay, now remember, each ray goes through two numbers, one for each side of the scale, depending on which way your angle opens. So make sure you're either subtracting both tops or both bottoms. Don't subtract a top and a bottom. We're going to find the measure of angle TAR, and that's this angle right here that we talked about a second ago. I'm going to make it pink. You can do this to help you, but obviously the more you do it, the more cluttered the diagram is going to look. So that pink angle is angle TAR. What is its measure? Well, if we start here at this scale, we have two numbers. We have a 0 and a 180, and up here we have a 29 and a 151. How many degrees are in between those two rays? Well, if I used both top numbers, I would have 29 and 0. You just subtract those. And that makes it really easy. When you have the opportunity to use a 0, it makes your subtraction really easy. 29 minus 0 is 29. So that's the measure of that angle. Now, what if you would have used the bottom numbers? What is 180 minus 151? It gives you the same 29. Now, wouldn't you agree that this pink angle is acute? They wanted you to classify it as well. That's an acute angle for sure. Does it match up with the measure that you calculated? It does. Sometimes when you make a mistake using these scales, sometimes you get an acute angle that has an obtuse measure when you make a mistake. So that's a good way to catch yourself. Okay, we're going to fast forward here to number 8. Number 8 asks you about angle TAC. So I'm going to highlight angle TAC. Angle TAC is that orange angle. What kind of angle does that look like? Well, that's a big fat angle, so that's obtuse. What would its measure be? Well, the numbers that these rays are going through, none of them have a 0. So it's not going to be as easy as that first one, but you can still take both bottom numbers and subtract them if you want. So I'm going to do 151 minus 25. What is 151 minus 25? It gives you 126. That's the measure of the orange angle. Does that make sense? Well, we said it was obtuse. That definitely is an obtuse measure. Okay, we'll do one more. Let's look at angle QAC. Let me get a different highlighter. Try yellow. Angle QAC is that yellow angle. Now, when you look at that angle, classifying this one first probably isn't a good idea because you might say to yourself, well, that looks like a right angle. And if you write down that it's a right angle and you don't get 90, you might think that you're wrong, and you might not be. Let's actually calculate the measure first. I'm going to use both top numbers this time. 155 minus 70. 155 minus 70 gives you 85. Remember how we said it looked like a right angle? Well, that's really close to a right angle, isn't it? Does that kind of make sense? It's definitely acute, though, because it's less than 90. Okay, bottom section, use a protractor to draw an angle. Then you can classify it. We'll do 3 of them together. Number 19, that's a 10-degree angle. That's definitely acute. Okay, now use your protractor. I'm going to try to do this so you can see exactly what I'm doing this whole time. Put a little dot for your vertex. Hold that protractor so it's not sliding around. You're going to make a little mark over here for your 0. This is the 0 right here. And then the 10 is right up here. So put another little mark on the 10. You have the 3 dots that you need. You need to connect this dot to this one and this same dot to that one. That's all you do. And again, you don't need to extend it all the way to that dot. Rays go on forever. So that's what that arrowhead means. It's going to go through that point. That's a 10-degree angle. Super skinny. Doesn't matter how long the rays are. The degrees between the rays, that's what makes it small, not the length of the rays. Number 20, we need 135-degree angles. So I'm going to try this again, hopefully so we can see the whole thing. And I'm going to use the other scale. So I'm going to go this way, use the bottom numbers this time. I'm going to put a little dot here for my vertex, put a little dot here for my 0, and then I need 135 degrees. Don't go to this 135 because I'm using the bottom numbers. Go to this 135. Can you see that one up there, 135? Now, you need to connect those. So I'm going to connect this dot with this point here. And again, I don't need to draw it all the way up there. It's going to get there. And do the same thing here. That's a 135-degree angle. It's big, it's fat. The rays are opened wide. Okay, we'll do one more. Number 21 is an 85-degree angle. And let me classify this. That's obtuse. This guy's definitely acute. It's going to look like a right angle from a distance, but it's not. It's a little bit less. It's acute. Let's try this last one. I'll use the scale on the right again. So I'm going to put a point at my 0 and a point at my 85, and then I'm going to connect them. And that's your 85-degree angle.